I sat in the dim glow of the living room lamp, the house wrapped in that heavy, late-night silence that makes every small sound feel amplified. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, marking time in a way that felt both relentless and meaningless. My name is Adam Zoe, and at 45, I was supposed to have my life sorted out. A solid career as a senior project manager at a mid-sized tech firm in Seattle, a mortgage on a comfortable four-bedroom house in the suburbs, a wife who still turned heads when we went out, and two kids who were the center of my world. Or at least that's what I told myself on the good days. Liam, my son, was 10, obsessed with building Lego spaceships and asking questions that sometimes stumped me. "Dad, why does gravity work like that?" Mia, my daughter, was 7, all energy and imagination, forever drawing pictures of princesses riding dragons or begging me to watch her latest ballet routine in the living room. Elena, my wife, was the glue that had held it all together for 15 years. Beautiful, smart, patient Elena. We met back in college in 2005 at the University of Washington. I was buried in engineering classes, spending nights in the lab soldering circuits and debugging code when I went to a frat party on a whim. That's where I saw her, Elena Ramirez, laughing with a group of friends under colored lights strung across the backyard. She had long, dark hair that caught the light, olive skin, and eyes that seemed to hold a permanent spark of mischief. She was a marketing major, full of creative energy, always talking about brands and campaigns with a passion that made even business sound exciting. I spilled my drink trying to maneuver through the crowd to talk to her. She noticed, handed me a napkin, and said, "Smooth move. You always make an entrance like that?" I laughed, apologized, and somehow we ended up talking until the party wound down. By the end of the night, I had her number, and by the next weekend, we were on our first date. Coffee that turned into dinner that turned into a walk around Green Lake. Those early years were magic. We graduated together in 2008, me with my engineering degree, her with marketing. Jobs came quickly. I started at a startup, she at an agency. We moved in together in a tiny apartment downtown, furnishing it with secondhand stuff and dreams. In 2010, I proposed on that same beach where we'd had one of our first weekend getaways, down in Oregon. She said yes with tears in her eyes, and we got married that fall. A small ceremony with family and friends, her in a simple white dress that hugged her figure perfectly, me in a suit that felt too formal but made me stand taller. Our honeymoon in Maui was 10 days of sun, sea, and nights where we barely left the hotel room. Life felt infinite. Kids came later, after we'd settled into careers. Liam arrived in 2015, a screaming bundle that changed everything. Elena took maternity leave, then eased back into freelance graphic design so she could work from home. I got promoted, took on more responsibility. Mia followed in 2018, another whirlwind. We bought the house in 2020, the colonial with a big backyard, white siding, blue shutters. Elena painted the kids' rooms herself, turned the basement into a play area. Weekends were soccer games, ballet recitals, barbecues with neighbors, date nights when we could afford a babysitter, dinner at our favorite Italian place, maybe a movie. It was the American dream, or close enough. But dreams have a way of wearing thin over time. By 2023, the routine had set in deep. My job demanded more, endless meetings, deadlines that bled into evenings, occasional travel to client sites in California or Texas. Elena's freelance business grew. She was designing logos, websites, marketing materials for small companies. Between that and the kids, school runs, homework, activities, she was exhausted. Our conversation shifted from dreams to logistics. "Can you pick up Liam from practice? Did you pay the electric bill? What's for dinner?" Intimacy became sporadic, hurried affairs in the dark, more duty than desire. I'd reach for her, and half the time she'd whisper, "I'm too tired, Adam. Tomorrow?" Tomorrow rarely came. I started feeling restless, like I was missing something vital. At 45, I looked in the mirror and saw gray creeping into my hair, lines around my eyes. Work was fulfilling, but it didn't fill the void. I hit the gym more, bought new clothes, told myself it was for health, but really I wanted to feel desired again, alive in a way that went beyond being dad or honey. That's when Sarah walked into my life. It was January 2024. Our company hired a batch of interns for a big marketing push on a new software product. Sarah Thompson was one of them. 28, recent MBA, with blonde hair that fell in waves, bright blue eyes, and a confidence that bordered on bold. She was assigned to shadow my team for cross-departmental coordination. The first time we met properly was in a conference room. I was presenting the technical specs, and she asked sharp questions. How does this integrate with user analytics? Could we track engagement differently? Her voice was clear, enthusiastic. Afterward, she lingered. Great presentation, Adam. Mind if I grab coffee with you sometime to dive deeper? I said sure, thinking nothing of it. Mentorship, right? But the coffees turned into lunches. Sarah was fun, full of stories about her travels, backpacking in Thailand, skiing in Colorado, her hobbies like rock climbing, photography. She laughed at my jokes, leaned in when I talked, and made me feel seen. "You're not like the other managers here," she said one day over salads in the cafeteria. Her hand brushed mine as she passed the salt. A jolt went through me. I knew I should pull back, but I didn't. Texts started, work-related at first, then personal. "How was your weekend? Saw this meme and thought of you." Emojis crept in, then late-night messages when Elena was asleep beside me. The first time we crossed the line was after a team happy hour in March. Drinks flowed, the group thinned out. Sarah and I ended up at a bar table alone. She put her hand on my knee under the table and whispered, "I've been thinking about you." We left separately but met in the car garage. The kiss was hungry, desperate. In my car, windows fogged, hands everywhere. I pulled away eventually, heart pounding. "This is wrong," I said. She just smiled. "Does it feel wrong?" It didn't. It felt exhilarating. We started meeting secretly, lunch meetings that stretched into afternoons at a discreet hotel downtown. Sarah had a small apartment, but we avoided that at first. I'd tell Elena I had client calls running late or a deadline crunch. The lies came easier than I expected. The sex was intense, different from the familiar comfort with Elena. Sarah was adventurous, vocal, made me feel like a man in his prime again. "You're amazing," she'd gasp, nails digging into my back. I'd go home showered, cologne fresh, guilt buried deep.
But guilt has a way of surfacing. I'd catch Elena looking at me oddly when I checked my phone too quickly or came home with a vague excuse. "Everything okay at work?" she'd ask. "Yeah, just busy," I'd reply, kissing her cheek. The kids kept me grounded. Liam's school projects, Mia's hugs, they were pure, uncomplicated love. I'd promise myself after each tryst, this is the last time. But then Sarah would text a photo or suggest a quick meetup, and I'd cave. Close calls started happening. One night in May, I was at Sarah's place when Elena called. "Where are you? Dinner's ready." Panic hit. Stuck in traffic, bad accident on the freeway. I rushed home, arriving flushed. Elena eyed me. "You smell different." "New cologne sample at the office," I lied. She nodded, but the doubt lingered. By summer, Elena confronted me indirectly. We were in bed, and she initiated. Rare those days. It was tender, loving. Afterward, she whispered, "I miss us, Adam. Miss you." Guilt flooded me. I held her tight. Me too. For a week, I ghosted Sarah, but she persisted. Texts, calls from a burner app I'd installed. "Don't ignore me. You know you want this." I caved again. In August, things escalated. Sarah wanted more. Weekends away, introductions as a couple in her circle. "I'm falling for you," she said one afternoon in a hotel bed. I panicked internally. "Sarah, I'm married. This is fun, but that's it." She got angry. "Fun? Is that all I am?" We argued, made up passionately, but the seed was planted. This couldn't last forever. Elena grew distant. More questions, checking my phone when she thought I wasn't looking. One evening in September, I came home late again. The kids were asleep. Elena was at the kitchen table, my work phone in her hand. I'd forgotten to lock it after a text from Sarah popped up. "Who's S?" she asked quietly, eyes red. My stomach dropped. "A colleague, Sarah from marketing. We're collaborating on the new launch." She scrolled. Her face hardened. Messages weren't explicit on that phone, but flirty enough. "Collaborating, huh? At 10 p.m.? I sat down. "Elena, it's nothing. Just work banter." She handed the phone back. I believe you, but her voice said otherwise. No yelling, no scene, just quiet hurt. That scared me more. From then on, the house felt tense, polite in front of the kids, silence otherwise. I doubled down on caution, deleted apps, used a secret phone hidden in my car. I should have ended it, confessed, begged forgiveness, gone to counseling, but the thrill was addictive, and confessing meant losing everything. Sarah was my escape, my proof I was still vital. October brought a big project deadline. Late nights at the office became my alibi. Sarah and I stole moments in empty conference rooms, risking it all. One night, after a heated session in my office, door locked, blinds drawn, I drove home exhausted but buzzing. Elena was asleep. I slipped into bed, thinking I'd dodged another bullet. The next morning, Elena was up early, making breakfast. "Rough night?" she asked, handing me coffee. Her smile seemed normal, but her eyes were watchful. "Yeah, deadline crunch. Thanks, love." I kissed her, tasted normalcy. That afternoon, the kids were at school, Elena at a client meeting. I had the house to myself. Rare. Stress from work and the double life weighed on me. I needed release, something to clear my head. I went upstairs to our bedroom, locked the door out of habit. In the nightstand drawer, on my side, was an old tube of personal lubricant. We'd bought it years ago on a whim, used it a few times when things were spicier. It was half empty, cap a bit loose, but still there. I lay back on the bed, with phone in hand with some saved photos from Sarah. Squeezed out a dollop, clear, slippery, like always. Applied it, started relaxing into it. At first, everything felt fine. Familiar sensation, building tension, release. But then, a tingle. Not the good kind. It turned to warmth, then a sticky pull. I paused, looked down. Something was off. The skin wasn't gliding, it was adhering. Panic flickered. I tried to adjust, but it pulled painfully. The substance wasn't lubricating, it was bonding. My foreskin stuck to itself, the opening sealing. Pressure built immediately. "What the hell?" I muttered, sitting up. Tried wiping with a tissue, worse. It hardened fast. Industrial superglue, that's what it felt like. Burning started, swelling. I couldn't urinate, the urethra was glued shut. Agony radiated, sharp and unrelenting. How? The tube looked the same brand, same color. But Elena? No, she wouldn't. Or would she? I stumbled to the bathroom, legs weak. Tried warm water, nothing. Soap made it worse. Acetone? We had nail polish remover downstairs. I hobbled down, spilling it on a cotton pad, dabbing carefully. Slight dissolution, but pain exploded. Tears streamed. Every movement tore its sensitive skin. The pressure in my bladder grew unbearable. Nausea hit. I couldn't call Elena. She'd know instantly. Friends? No way. Hospital. Had to be. I dressed awkwardly, sweatpants loose, drove one-handed while cradling myself. Every bump agony. At the ER, I checked in, whispering to the nurse, "Private, accident, glue on genitals." Her eyes widened, then professional mask. Wheeled to a room, doctors consulted, nurses prepped solvents. Hours of careful application, acetone mixtures, numbing agents, peeling layers, dissolving bonds. I gripped the bed rails, biting back screams. Finally free, but raw, inflamed, bandaged, antibiotics prescribed. Avoid activities until healed, the doctor said, suppressing a smirk.
Driving home, humiliation burned hotter than the injury. Elena knew. Had to be her. Swapped the lube for revenge. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, kids at after-school activities. "What happened?" she asked calmly, though her eyes held the truth. I collapsed into a chair, everything spilling out. The affair, lies, pain. "I'm sorry. So sorry." She listened, face impassive. Then, "I knew for months, Adam. Found evidence. Decided you needed to feel stuck, like I have." We talked until the kids came home. Counseling booked. Sarah blocked forever. Healing took weeks, physical and otherwise. Trust shattered, but we're rebuilding. Slowly. I learned the hard way. Cheating glues you to consequences you can't easily dissolve. The weeks following the hospital visit blurred into a haze of pain, shame, and forced reflection. I was on medical leave from work for 2 weeks, officially a minor procedure, I told my boss. The truth was too mortifying to share. The doctors had done their job well. The glue was dissolved, the skin treated with ointments, but the rawness lingered for days. Every trip to the bathroom was a reminder, every shift in my seat a wince. Antibiotics to prevent infection, painkillers that dulled the edges but never fully erased the throbbing. I walked gingerly around the house, sweatpants my uniform, avoiding anything tight. Elena acted like the perfect wife on the surface. She made meals, handled the kids' routines, even brought me soup in bed the first few nights. But her eyes were different, cooler, more distant. When the kids asked why Daddy was sick, she said I'd had an accident at work and needed rest. Liam nodded solemnly. Mia drew me a get-well card with a stick figure me in bed surrounded by hearts. Their innocence gutted me more than the physical pain. On the third night home after the kids were asleep, Elena finally sat on the edge of the bed. The room was dark except for the hallway lights spilling in. "We need to talk, Adam," she said quietly. No anger, just exhaustion. "I know. I'm so sorry, Elena. I don't even know how to start." She didn't look at me right away. "I've known for months, Adam. Found evidence. Decided you needed to feel stuck, like I have." We talked until the kids came home. Counseling booked. Sarah blocked forever. Healing took weeks, physical and otherwise. Trust shattered, but we're rebuilding. Slowly. I learned the hard way. Cheating glues you to consequences you can't easily dissolve.
"Are we done?" I whispered, terrified of the answer. She sighed. "I don't know. The kids need their dad, and part of me still loves the man I married. But I need time. Space. We're going to counseling. I've already booked a marriage therapist for next week. You will go. Every session. No excuses. And you're sleeping in the guest room until I say otherwise." Relief flooded me, mixed with dread. "I'll do anything. Thank you for not leaving." "Don't thank me yet," she said, standing. "This is probation. One slip, one lie, and I'm gone, with the kids." The next months were a slow, painful rebuild. Counseling twice a week, Dr. Harlan, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who didn't let me off easy. She made me own every part of the affair, the selfishness, the lies, the damage. Elena spoke of her loneliness, her resentment. I learned things I should have known, how exhausted she'd been, how my distance had made her question her worth. We cried, argued, but slowly started listening. At home, I stepped up. Mornings making breakfast, school drop-offs, homework help. Date nights resumed, not passionate yet, but talking, reconnecting. I joined the gym with Elena. We took walks after dinner. Small steps. Physically, I healed in a few weeks, but the mental scar remained. Every time I saw that nightstand drawer, I'd flinch. Intimacy with Elena resumed cautiously months later. Gentle, emotional, no toys, no lube, just us. Sarah tried contacting me once through a coworker, asking why I'd ghosted her. I ignored it. She transferred departments eventually. Rumors swirled, but nothing stuck to me. By spring 2025, things were better, not perfect. Trust grew slowly. Elena smiled more genuinely. The kids noticed Mom and Dad are happier. We took a family vacation to Hawaii, echoing our honeymoon. Holding her hand on the beach, watching Liam and Mia build sandcastles, I felt gratitude deeper than ever. Looking back on Christmas morning 2025, as we sat around the tree, kids ripping open presents, Elena sipping coffee beside me, I knew I'd almost lost it all for a fleeting thrill. The pain, the humiliation, the near destruction of my family, it was the brutal lesson I needed. Cheating glues you to regret, sometimes literally, but if you're lucky and you work hard enough, you can dissolve the bonds and rebuild something stronger. I turned to Elena, kissed her softly. "Merry Christmas, love." She smiled, real, warm. "Merry Christmas, Adam." And for the first time in years, I believed we might actually make it.